The bookstore stayed open late on Fridays for poetry and cheap red wine. Mostly teachers, artists, and insomniacs trying to pass the time. I came for a mystery novel, and somewhere quiet to read. Not expecting the gentleman in aisle 7 to become part of the evening. He was reaching for the same hardcover, a detective story set in Rome. We both grabbed it at the same moment, then neither one let go. He smiled and said, "You take it." I said, "No, after you." For 5 ridiculous minutes we politely argued about a book. Bookstore moonlight shining through the front display, landing on forgotten novels and strangers in the same aisle. Bookstore moonlight making ordinary moments glow. Funny where a simple evening can decide to go. We shared a table near the window, talking until 10:30 about Chicago, old records, and places we'd both been. Turns out he restored old pianos and hated modern phones, which was the first time in years a conversation felt that easy. About romance, like it's the only season worth writing. But nobody talks enough about meeting someone when you're already yourself. No pretending, no performance, no games left to play. Just 2 people enjoying a surprisingly good day. Bookstore moonlight still makes me smile today, because I got the novel and his phone number anyway. Bookstore moonlight. Some stories don't need grand design. Sometimes happiness is simply being in the right aisle at the right time. At the right time. with metal detectors. Me, I chase double discount Wednesdays like a bounty hunter with a mission. Last week I saved enough on coffee, frozen peas, and laundry soap to finally afford the down payment on something I wanted for years. Coupon queen, Cadillac, cruising down Main Street proud, paid for by paper clippings and making my mama proud. Coupon queen, Cadillac, shining underneath the sun. Who needs a lottery ticket when bargain hunting's this much fun? My grandson rolled his eyes completely when I picked him up from school. Said, "Grandma, please don't tell my friends how you paid for this thing." I said, "Boy, this leather steering wheel was bought with discounted cereal." Then I watched him laugh so hard he nearly dropped his backpack. The world keeps chasing bigger paychecks and faster ways to win, but I've always trusted patience and a carefully organized binder. Some call it being cheap, I call it strategic living. Besides, every dollar saved is a dollar that can keep on dancing. Coupon queen, Cadillac, still turning heads downtown. Every mile is sponsored proudly by things marked 50% down. Coupon queen, Cadillac, best ride I've ever had. Turns out thriftiness and style make a pretty perfect pair. Yeah, thriftiness and style make a pretty perfect pair. Tattoo shop by the harbor, had been there 20 years at least. Between a bait store and a seafood diner, across from the fishing fleet. Every summer I'd walk right past it and think maybe one of these days, then keep on walking like a sensible woman back to my sensible life. But this July felt different somehow. Maybe it was turning 64. Maybe it was hearing too many people tell me what I shouldn't do anymore. So I marched right through that front door before courage could disappear, and asked for a tiny blue lighthouse right above my wrist. Harbor tattoo summer, blue ink shining in the sun. Everybody said I'd regret it. That's exactly why I got one. Little reminder every morning that I'm still free. My daughter nearly dropped her coffee when she spotted it that weekend. My sister laughed for 10 straight minutes, then secretly wanted one herself. 3 months later she got a seashell, and my cousin got a moon. Now Thanksgiving looks like a biker convention if you squint across the room. Yeah. People think rebellion belongs to the young, like adventure has an expiration date. But the older I get, the less interested I am in permission, and the more interested I become in collecting stories worth telling, instead of rules worth following to the ground. Me smile today. Every wrinkle around it just helps tell the tale. Harbor tattoo summer, best souvenir I ever found. Not from where I traveled, but from finally standing my ground. Yeah, not from where I traveled, but from finally standing my ground. Room number 7 smelled like old cedar, and coffee left too long on the burner. The neon vacancy sign outside, blinking every few seconds. I've been driving since Albuquerque, trying not to think too much about all the reasons I left, or where I was headed next. There was a little radio by the bedside, wrapped in yellowed masking tape. Only one station came through clearly, after midnight anyway. A woman with a voice like gravel played records nobody plays anymore, then told stories between songs like she knew every listener personally. Juniper Motel Radio, keeping lonely travelers company. Somewhere out beyond the darkness and the desert wind, Juniper Motel Radio, crackling through the night, turning empty motel rooms into something warm and alive. At 2:30 she started talking about mistakes she'd made at 25, then laughed and said, if you're still breathing, you still got time. I don't know why those words hit harder than all the books I've ever read, but I sat there staring at the ceiling, repeating them in my head. Sometimes it slips through static from a stranger you'll never meet, a late night voice floating through the darkness, reminding you that survival itself can be a beautiful thing. Yeah, Juniper Motel Radio, still living somewhere in my mind, long after that highway vanished into another state line. Oh, Juniper Motel Radio, a lighthouse made of sound, helping lost souls navigate when nobody else was around. Yeah, helping lost souls navigate when nobody else was around. She left her wedding shoes beside the sofa. Around 3 days before the ceremony, white satin size 7, still in the box from Tennessee. I picked one up and laughed a little. Lord, where did the years all go? Seems like yesterday she was 6 years old, running barefoot through the snow. My daughter's wedding shoes, sitting quiet by the wall, a little pair of borrowed dreams, waiting for the call. My daughter's wedding shoes, shining underneath the light, and somehow they made me realize she's leaving home tonight. I remember every scraped up knee, every science fair and school parade, every night she cried about some boy, and every promise that he made. I remember teaching her to drive, both of us scared to death, her hand shaking on that steering wheel, mine holding my breath. This afternoon she asked me if her father would have been proud. That question hit harder than thunder, though I never said it out loud. I told her he'd be smiling, probably crying somewhere too, because no matter how old they get, parents never stop loving you. Then wonder why they got lost. But standing still ain't living, and holding on ain't love. Sometimes the hardest blessing is learning how to let go of my daughter's wedding shoes, walking toward a brand new life, toward another family name, toward becoming somebody's wife. My daughter's wedding shoes and tears I couldn't quite disguise. I smiled and waved as she walked on, with her whole future in her eyes. Yeah, her whole future in her eyes. About 50 miles from nowhere, off Highway 17 south, there sits a little roadside motel most folks drive right past. 12 rooms and a flickering vacancy sign, a cat asleep on a soda machine, and a patchwork quilt hanging behind the check-in desk. I stopped there during a thunderstorm when the road disappeared in rain. The owner was a woman named Claire, who'd been there since Reagan. She poured me coffee in a chip blue mug and asked no questions at all, the kind of kindness that feels rare in a world that talks too much. Neon quilt motel, glowing in the dark, sheltering strangers and stories, passing through its yard. Neon quilt motel, somewhere between lost and found, where nobody asks where you've been, and nobody writes you down. There was a trucker from Oklahoma, a school teacher from Des Moines, a young couple chasing California with everything they owned. For one night all our lives shared the same faded parking lot. Then morning scattered us again like cards from a shuffled deck. Funny how some places matter, not because they're famous, but because they appear exactly when you need them most. A warm light in bad weather, a friendly face at midnight, a reminder that the world still holds a little grace. Neon quilt motel, still shining in my memory, not as a destination, not as a destination, but as a sanctuary. Neon quilt motel, one small stop along the way, proof that ordinary places can save a heart for a day. Yeah, ordinary places can save a heart for a day. There's a diner near the freight yard, open 24 hours straight. Truckers, nurses, insomniacs, all passing through the same place. And every night behind the counter stands Loretta with her silver curls, pouring coffee and good advice to half the broken hearts in town. She knows who just got divorced, who got hired, who got fired, who keeps pretending everything's fine, and who's secretly tired. She remembers every regular's order without writing a thing down, like she's keeping the whole neighborhood balanced somehow. Paper moon waitress, working beneath fluorescent stars, serving eggs and second chances from behind the counter bar. Paper moon waitress, smiling through another shift, making ordinary evenings feel a little less adrift. Last November, some young businessman stopped in during a snowstorm night, looking like the weight of the world had arrived on the same flight. Loretta sat beside him briefly and said, "Honey, here's the truth. Nobody has it figured out. We're all improvising." The world keeps celebrating people standing on big stages, but sometimes the real heroes wear aprons instead, holding together little corners of everyday life, one cup of coffee at a time. Through the years, paper moon waitress, still working every Friday night, still making strangers feel welcome under that fading light. Paper moon waitress, queen of booth number 3, never famous, never wealthy, but richer than she'll ever see. Yeah, richer than she'll ever see, in ways money can't be. Ruby owned the pawn shop downtown for nearly 37 years. fishing rods, through laughter and through tears. One rainy Tuesday morning, a man rode in a battered piano, said, "I hate to let this thing go, but life had other plans." The wood was scarred and faded, one key barely made a sound, but when Ruby pressed a chord, the whole room seemed to stop. The old man smiled and told her his mother used to play it every night, back when their tiny apartment was filled with music instead of worries. Ruby's pawn shop piano, still singing through the years, holding fingerprints and memories between the dust and tears. Ruby's pawn shop piano never really left it home, because every song it carries still knows where it belongs. A month later, Ruby closed the shop and put the piano by the window. Every Saturday she'd play a little for whoever wandered in. Truck drivers, nurses, teenagers, folks with nowhere else to be, gathered around that old instrument like it was a campfire. Things are worth more than whatever price they bring. A song your mother taught you, a voice you still remember. The world keeps measuring value in dollars and receipts, but the best things usually survive outside the ledger book. Ruby's pawn shop piano, still standing by that glass, still gathering strangers together as the years roll past. Ruby's pawn shop piano, proof that music never leaves. It just waits quietly for someone to wake it from its sleep. Yeah, it waits quietly for someone to wake it from its sleep. My grandson said, "Grandma, be honest, when's the last time you broke a rule?" I pointed at the red Mustang parked beside the swimming pool. Bought it from a retired dentist who could barely see the road. Now every Tuesday after breakfast I let that V8 roll. Tuesday red Mustang, flying down County 9, wind tearing through my silver hair, feeling 29. Tuesday red Mustang, Lord, what a beautiful sight. A 70-year-old woman still picking fights with life. The ladies from my bridge club panic every time they see me pass. One says, Evelyn, you'll kill yourself. I tell her, honey, not that fast. The sheriff pulled me over once, asked where I thought I'd been. I said, trying to catch my youth. He laughed and let me win. Spare the cash. There were diapers, bills, and mortgages, and dreams that had to wait. Funny how life circles back around when you least expect it to. Sometimes the girl you used to be comes riding back to you. People think adventure has an age limit, like joy expires somehow. But the heart don't read calendars, and mine sure ain't starting now. The mirror says one number, the highway says another, and some mornings I trust the highway a little more than the mirror. Tuesday red Mustang, shining underneath the sun, not trying to relive my youth, just refusing to be done. Tuesday red Mustang, still got miles left to run, and if that's called growing older, I'm having way too much fun. Yeah, if that's called growing older, I'm having way too much fun.
Christmas my niece bought me a velvet jacket, bright purple blue, covered in shiny silver flowers. Honestly, it looked ridiculous. I hung it in the closet for months. Too loud for church, too loud for town, too loud for every occasion. paper snapped a picture for their community page. Next morning folks were calling me the queen of table 8. Even Earl from the feed store said you look mighty fine, which may be the nicest compliment he's given since 1989. Somewhere along the road we start trying not to be noticed, like blending in is safer than standing out. But life's too short for beige colors and saving good clothes for later. Sometimes you've got to wear the jacket and let people stare. Velvet bingo jacket, still hanging by my front door now, ready for the next adventure whenever it comes around. Velvet bingo jacket, best gift I ever received, because it taught me style ain't fashion, it's courage on your sleeve. Yeah, style ain't fashion, it's courage on your sleeve.